come to you straight away. The nurses are unhappy, and we see what sort of havoc that is wreaking on the healthcare system. Government says we're still perusing the documentation, this agreement. Give us some more time. The nurses say, how much more time do you need? An agreement was made in May of 2024. What say you?
Last year. I mean, nobody can ever, belabor or sort of not appreciate the role that, our nurses and our midwives play, in our country. Oftentimes when they strike, we think it's just about them and their livelihoods, but we know that it has far-reaching consequences for you and I, right? Health is something that is crucial, first of all, because it's so unpredictable. As we sit here today, who knows what could happen in the next minute? That's how vulnerable we all are. It's why the sick is perhaps the most vulnerable in any society. So all of us are concerned. All of us are eager, that we have some resolution to this issue so our health officials can go back to work instantly. However, this is an issue that has been raging from last year. It's a new government, as has been explained. It's not we won't do or we don't understand or, I think every effort is being made, every attempt is being made for everybody to understand that this issue is just as important to government, and it has to be. I mean, you would have to be, a government working against yourself if you play around, with the health sector. It's just, for lack of a better expression, foolhardy,
right.
So I think what we need is a little bit of patience. And even as I say that, I lower my voice because I can understand the frustration on the other side, right?
I was going to say, how much time?
I appreciate that.
About timelines.
I appreciate that. But let's also appreciate that it's a new government. It's hard on both ends. It's hard on both ends. I appreciate where they are coming from. It's an issue that has raged on for years. It's not an issue of today, you see. But also appreciate it from the other side. This is a new government that has come in, that wants to apprise itself with all of the issues so we can have a long-term solution. We can do the ad hoc things which have never helped anybody. The ad hoc solutions have never helped anybody. We are still here having conversations, sitting down, going back and forth. Can we exercise just a little bit of patience so we have some actual, tangible finality to this issue? Because at the end of the day, we all want the betterment of the health sector. All stakeholders want the betterment of the health sector. I would never sit here and assume that, the health workers do not want the betterment of the health sector. No. We are all concerned. We are all important stakeholders. I keep saying that perhaps for this administration, let's watch the trajectory so far and let's make a determination. Is this an administration we can trust? When they say give us a little patience, should we trust? Can we trust? How have their actions so far been? What have they done so far? Now, if you look at everything in its totality, I say, and when I say this, I'm always accused of, I get a lot of backlash for saying that, but surely we can trust, can't we?
You say that what the NDC government has demonstrated over the last sort of 5 to 6 months should be enough reassurance for our nurses and midwives to say, we'll pump the brakes on our demands. Is that enough time for them to
It's just been
trust?
5 to 6 months, but like I'm saying, what's been the indication so far, right? And based off of that indication, can we give this new administration just a little bit of grace? That's all I'm asking for. Just a little bit of grace. Let's get back to the drawing table. Let's have the conversations we need to have. If we can have long-term solutions to the problems that we all are concerned about.
When you say that it's a new government and that you're asking for a bit of grace, a bit of time, is what you're also saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so do clarify. It almost sounds as though you're saying, well, we did not agree to these terms.
I haven't said
these
that.
These are not our terms. I just want to sort of tease that out. Is that what we're also saying? Because I'm hearing from certain quarters, well, you've made an agreement with a different government, but the employer is the employer.
I could say that. And I can appreciate why somebody else would say that. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that for good reason. I don't believe in blame gaming.
Right.
It's not my thing. I believe that the people of Ghana made a very loud statement with our last election. The loudest statement so far, if you check the records, this type of results we haven't had, in our present history. So the people of Ghana have been very loud and very clear. So you don't get into power off of the back of such a victory and start playing the blame game. Oh, they did, we did. Nobody has time for that. It's a new era. We want to move forward. So whatever happened in the past, let's leave it there. It's not for me to sit here and come and reiterate everything that we suffered under the past administration. It's why we voted the way that we voted. We know what we suffered under the past administration. We know what they did and did not do. We know everything we did not like with that administration. It's not for me to come and sit here this morning and talk about it. Ghanaians know that already. We voted based off on that. So now, can we move forward? That's always my attitude. Can we move forward? Today you're in government, let's get it done.
Now, let me expand it a little bit. Do you think that it's fair that government is burdened with agreements negotiated by a previous administration, just to widen it?
Do I think that it's fair?
It's fair.
On the face of it, I would say no, but we all know how governments run. We could have an extended conversation around the structures that all of us work with within government. For me, if I were sitting on the other side and you said that to me, I would accuse you of, looking for excuses.
Right.
As justifiable as those excuses might be. Somebody said to me the last time that when somebody is drowning, that's not the time to teach the person how to swim. And that's the attitude I have taken going forward. So yes, it's not an agreement that this administration came to. Somebody would say, in that sense, it's not binding on this administration. But the point is that the agreement was made. At the end of the day, the agreement was made. At the end of the day, the nurse, the midwife, knows that it had an agreement with government. I would want us to move ahead from the partisanship of it all, right? All this new government is saying is, give me time. Let me look at what my predecessors did with you. Let me have an idea what has been done in the past. Now, armed with information, I can do better. Now, do you trust that? That's the whole conversation. Armed with information, I can do better for you. Do you trust it? Or would you go ahead and strike? And you understand what I'm saying? And bind this government to a contract that the government did not sign.
Are there any terms then in this collective agreement that government finds onerous?
Oh, I will not speak to that. I will leave that to the
right.
specific, sector managers to deal with. And I believe that as the days go by, we would hear more, and it's not even for only government to say. If it's a negotiation, then it would have to be from both sides, all stakeholders, and I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
So let them sit at the table, let them come to an agreement. I believe that we'll find our way clear. It's just for me, for all of us to exercise just that little bit of grace so that we can move forward.
And I believe that's where the crossroads comes into play, because union members say, well, they're tired of talking, they're tired of negotiating. They spent all that time doing doing that last year, and they want to see some resolution.
Aren't we all tired?
So now we know that the strike action is ongoing, and in fact, it's set to escalate because on Monday it started off with the red arm bands and wristbands. Now we know that OPD services have been withdrawn. If you're looking for antenatal care, for example, this morning, that's not going to be available to you. Any triage services that are needed, doctors that are ably supported by nurses, they will have that help withdrawn. What contingency measures are being put in place, or has the government explored to ensure that what we're seeing is mitigated? We saw in that video a crying pregnant lady can't access antenatal care. What do we do?
So, I understand that we have other health workers taking up, the flag. That's what I've been told. We even have doctors themselves, taking up, the task of nurses presently. Of course, it's not enough, right? I've also heard the unions, come out and issue a warning about how everybody should be careful not to get non-health, hands involved in the process of ad hocly taking care of, what's happening. So yes, in the interim, things are being done. If you came to a hospital and you're looking for a nurse and you got a doctor I'd say you got a good deal. Right, so let's see how far that can go. And you see, as you were speaking, I can remember personal experiences, especially with the midwives, where, you're pregnant, you need healthcare. You're at your most vulnerable. I will not sit here and sort of seek to remind nurses and midwives and health professionals, about empathy. Or I think they know these things. They are well aware. Right? These are people who have shown over the years a certain commitment and determination for the work they do. They work under very strenuous circumstances. We all know this. I remember the last time, one dawn, I ended up in a hospital, one of these government hospitals. And as I laid there, with my eyes closed, the kind of conversations I had, among the nurses, where one of them was saying, "Oh, I'm taking Madam Ames things, and I'm going to use it to take care of this old lady in the morning. I'll explain it to her." So they are sometimes going over and above to get things done. We appreciate that. We do. We completely appreciate that. We completely understand that. But what we are saying is a little bit of grace, so we can solve this thing once and for all.
Thank you for that, Amala.